Part 1. The addiction to control. The more you try to control, the weaker you become. Most people hear this and disagree internally. They think control equals strength, discipline, planning, precision, order. But that's not what control actually is. Control is not clarity. It's fear wearing strategy. At its core, control is the attempt to force certainty onto an uncertain world. And the problem is simple. Reality does not negotiate. You can control schedules, you can control systems, you can control processes to a degree, but you cannot control outcomes. You cannot control people. You cannot control life. And the more you try, the more tension you accumulate. Control feels powerful at first. You plan everything. You anticipate problems. You prepare for every scenario. And for a while, it works. Until it doesn't. Because control is not sustainable. It requires constant vigilance, constant correction, constant resistance against what is. And resistance always has a cost. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most suffering is not caused by pain. It's caused by expectation. Expectation that life should behave, that people should be predictable, that effort should guarantee results, that doing everything right should protect you from chaos. That expectation is not realism. It's entitlement, not arrogant entitlement, existential entitlement. The belief that reality owes you coherence, and when reality doesn't comply, you suffer. You get frustrated, you get bitter, you get anxious, you get rigid, you try to control harder. But control does not create strength, it creates fragility. Because a controlled system breaks the moment something unexpected enters, and life is nothing but the unexpected. So let's define the shift this video is about. Control is the attempt to dominate reality. Responsibility is the ability to respond to reality. One is about force, the other is about capacity. And confusing the two is what weakens people, because control narrows you. Responsibility expands you. In the next part, we'll dismantle the illusion of control and show why people cling to it even when it clearly fails them. Part 2. Why control feels necessary and why it fails. If control is so fragile, why do people cling to it so fiercely? Because control reduces anxiety in the short term. It creates the feeling of safety. When you control, you feel prepared. When you feel prepared, you feel calm. When you feel calm, you mistake it for strength. But that calm is conditional. It exists only as long as reality follows your script. And reality never follows the script for long. Here are the 3 illusions that keep people addicted to control. First, the illusion of predictability. People believe that if they analyze enough, plan enough, and anticipate enough, they can prevent chaos. But complexity doesn't work like that. The more complex a system is, the less predictable it becomes. Human relationships, markets, careers, health, life itself. Trying to fully predict them is not intelligence, it's denial. Second, the illusion of fairness. Control is often tied to a hidden belief. If I do everything right, things should work out. This is one of the most damaging beliefs a person can hold. Because when things don't work out, you don't just feel disappointed. You feel wronged. You feel resentment. You feel like reality broke a contract that never existed. That resentment turns into bitterness or into obsessive control. You try to force fairness onto an unfair world, and the world doesn't respond with mercy. It responds with friction. Third, the illusion of responsibility over outcomes. Here's the distinction most people never learn. You are responsible for your actions. You are not responsible for outcomes. Outcomes depend on variables outside your control. Other people, timing, chance, systems, randomness. When you take responsibility for outcomes, you carry weight. that was never meant to be carried, and that weight turns into anxiety. Anxiety turns into control. Control turns into rigidity. Rigidity turns into suffering. This is where most people break. They don't burn out because they lack discipline. They burn out because they overassume responsibility. They try to manage what cannot be managed, and the cost is always the same: loss of presence, loss of flexibility, loss of resilience. The paradox is this: the more you try to control life, the less capable you become of responding to it. So what's the alternative? Not passivity, not indifference, not chaos. Responsibility. And responsibility is far more demanding than control. That's the final part. Part 3, responsibility, the real source of strength. Responsibility is not about controlling what happens. It's about choosing how you respond when things happen. That's real power, because response is always available, even when control is not. Here's what responsibility actually looks like. First, you release entitlement. You stop saying, "This shouldn't be happening," and start saying, "This is happening. Now what?" That shift alone removes a massive amount of suffering, because suffering often comes from the gap between expectation and reality. Close the gap, and pain becomes manageable. Second, you focus on inputs, not outcomes. You commit fully to what you can influence: your effort, your integrity, your preparation, your attitude, your boundaries. And then you let go, not because you don't care, but because attachment to outcomes weakens performance. This is why calm people often perform better under pressure. They're not trying to control the result. They're fully present in the action. Third, you build adaptability instead of certainty. Control seeks certainty. Responsibility builds capacity. Capacity to adjust. Capacity to recover. Capacity to endure uncertainty without collapsing. This is strength, not the absence of chaos, but the ability to move within it. Fourth, you accept loss without collapse. Loss is inevitable. Plans fail. People change. Effort goes unrewarded. Responsibility doesn't deny that. It integrates it. You don't ask, "How do I prevent loss?" You ask, "How do I respond when loss occurs?" That question creates resilience. Finally, you stop confusing calm with control. True calm does not come from domination. It comes from trust in your ability to respond. When you know you can handle whatever comes next, you no longer need to control what comes next. And that's the reversal. The moment you stop trying to control life, you become stronger. Not because life becomes easier, but because you stop wasting energy resisting it. So remember this rule: control is illusion. Responsibility is real. And most suffering is not caused by reality, but by the false claim that reality should obey you. Let go of that claim, and you don't lose power, you gain it. If this challenged how you think about control, sit with that discomfort. It often points to where strength is being built. If you want more content like this, clear, grounded, and focused on real self-mastery, you can follow this channel. New videos will continue exploring responsibility, psychology, and inner strength. Thanks for listening. I'll see you in the next one.